The Barony of Veligosti Damala was a medieval Frankish fiefdom of the Principality of Achaea, originally centered on Veligosti in southern Arcadia, but also came to include the area of Damala in the Argolid when it came under a cadet branch of the de la Roche family. After Veligosti was lost to the Byzantines towards 1300, the name was retained even though the barony was reduced to Damala. History. Veligosti, near ancient Megalopolis, appears to have fallen to the Frankish Crusaders without resistance. California. 1206. The name's origin is obscure. The 19th-century historian Karl Hoff thought that the Greek name derived from the French form Veligourt, in turn might be a corruption of Valincourt, which Hoff proposed as the place of origin of the original baronial line of Mons. The Valincourt family was indeed represented in the Fourth Crusade, but as Antoine Bon points out, there is nothing other than the similarity of the names to link them to the Frankish Moria. Bon himself considers the form Veligosti to be the original one, of ultimately Slavic origin, and the French name to have been derived from it. The barony, established California. 1209, was one of the 12 original secular baronies of the Principality of Achaea and comprised 4 knights fiefs. According to the list of signatories of the Treaty of Sapienza in 1209, the first baron was Hugh of Mons, succeeded by Matthew of Mons, who is the first baron to be mentioned in the Chronicle of the Moria. Matthew held the barony until his marriage to a Byzantine princess, a daughter of Theodore II Lascaris, during a mission to the Byzantine court sometime in the 1250s. Karl Hoff, who was unaware of the Treaty of Sapienza, conjectured the existence of 2 barons of the same name, Matthew I and II, to fill the period from 1209, and that it was the latter who married the princess. Matthew of Mons disappears from the sources after his marriage, and the fief and the associated title apparently pass on to a junior branch of the de la Roche family, whose senior branch ruled the Duchy of Athens. Already in a document dated to 1256, William de la Roche is mentioned as Lord of Veligosti. The process of the transfer is obscure. Hoff hypothesized that a sister of Matthew of Mons may have married William de la Roche. William de la Roche, younger brother of the Duke of Athens Guy I de la Roche, also held the region of Damala in the Argolid as a fief, and the 2 domains became united under the same title. Damala was captured easily in the first days of the Frankish conquest of the Moria, unlike the neighboring citadels of Argos and Nauplia, which continued to resist until 1212. Although the latter were given as a separate fief to the de la Roche Dukes of Athens, Damala itself is not mentioned in the lists of barons in the French and Greek versions of the Chronicle of the Moria, which date to California, 1228 30ths. Only the Aragonese version mentions a knight, apparently William de la Roche, who received 6 fiefs in the area and raised a castle, as well as the possession of 3 fiefs by the Fuchirolles family. These reports date to the second half of the century, and the area appears to have been entirely devoid of Frankish presence before that. James de la Roche, evidently William's son, is then mentioned as Lord of Veligosti in the Aragonese version, while in the early 14th century, Renaud de Veligourt, son of James and Maria Aylman, daughter of the Baron of Patras William Aylman, is mentioned as Lord of Damala. For the 1260s, Veligosti became an important base for the Principality of Achaea in its war against the Byzantine province of Mistras in the southeastern Moria. Along with Nickley, it guarded the passes leading from Byzantine territory into the plateau of central Arcadia, the heart of the peninsula. After California, 1272, the Frankish presence at Veligosti began to come under increasing threat as the Byzantines gradually encroached into the area. By California, 1300, both Nickley and Veligosti had been lost to the Franks, and indeed seem to have been razed and/or abandoned entirely, as they are no longer mentioned in the sources. Although now confined to the fief of Damala, the family continued to use the title of Veligosti, or rather its French version, Veligourt. Thereafter, Renaud was probably killed at the Battle of Harmairos in 1311, and his heiress, Jacqueline de la Roche, married Martino Zaccaria, who was also Lord of Chios and Baron of Chalandrissa sometime before 1325. Martino was succeeded by his two sons, first Bartholomew, and after his death in 1336, Centurione I. After Centurion's death in 1382, Damala seems to have been lost to the Zaccaria.